1. Why is reproduction not necessary to maintain the life of an individual organism? Option A. It wastes energy. Option B. It is essential for evolution. Option C. It is unrelated to life processes. Option D. It is only for survival. The correct answer is option A. It wastes energy. Explanation. Reproduction is not essential for maintaining an individual's life, as processes like nutrition, respiration, and excretion suffice. However, reproduction is critical for the continuation and survival of a species. MC2. What does DNA copying during reproduction ensure? Option A. Accurate cell division. Option B. Similar body design. Option C. Variations in the next generation. Option D. Unlimited energy production. The correct answer is option C. Variations in the next generation. Explanation. DNA copying ensures the transfer of genetic information and the creation of variations. These variations are the foundation of genetic diversity and play a vital role in evolution. MC3. What is the basic event in reproduction? Option A. DNA replication. Option B. Cellular division. Option C. Mutation generation. Option D. Energy conservation. The correct answer is option A. DNA replication. Explanation. The fundamental event in reproduction is the replication of DNA, where genetic material is copied. This ensures that genetic information is passed from one generation to the next. MCQ 4. Why are variations important in a population of organisms? Option A. To avoid extinction. Option B. For energy production. Option C. To prevent reproduction. Option create identical offspring. The correct answer is option A. To avoid extinction. Explanation. Variations allow organisms to adapt to environmental changes, such as climate shifts. This adaptability increases the chances of survival for the species over time. Which process allows bacteria to reproduce rapidly? Option A. Binary fission. Option B. Multiple fission. Option C. Option D. Regeneration. The correct answer is option A. Binary fission. Explanation. Bacteria reproduce quickly through binary fission, where a single cell divides into two identical daughter cells. This is an efficient method for unicellular organisms to multiply. What is regeneration? Option A. Growing lost parts. Option B. Development of tissues. Option C. Growing into a new organism. Option D. Producing buds. The correct answer is option C. Growing into a new organism. Explanation. Regeneration is the ability of some organisms, like planaria, to regrow into a complete individual from a broken or cut body part. Specialized cells facilitate this process. MCQ 7. Which reproductive strategy is used by Hydra? Option A. Fission. Option B. Budding. Option C. Spore formation. Option D. Fragmentation. The correct answer is option B. Budding. Explanation. Hydra reproduces asexually through budding. A small bud develops on the parent organism, grows, and eventually detaches to form a new, independent individual. MCQ 8. Why is vegetative propagation practiced for growing some plants? Option A. Cost-effective. Option B. Ensures genetic variation. Option C. Early flowering. Option D. Requires less water. The correct answer is option C. Early flowering. Explanation. Vegetative propagation allows plants to flower and bear fruit earlier than those grown from seeds. It is a common method for plants like roses, sugarcane, and jasmine. MCQ 9. What is spore formation? Option A. Division into daughter cells. Option B. Regeneration of tissues. Option C. Production of spores. Option D. Formation of buds. The correct answer is option C. Production of spores. Explanation. Spore formation is an asexual reproduction method where organisms like rhizopus produce spores. These spores can grow into new individuals under suitable conditions. MCQ 10. Why is sexual reproduction advantageous over asexual reproduction? Option A, requires fewer resources. Option B, promotes genetic variation. Option C, ensures identical offspring. Option D, prevents mutations. The correct answer is option B, promotes genetic variation. Explanation. Sexual reproduction involves the combination of genetic material from two parents, leading to greater genetic diversity. This diversity increases adaptability and survival in changing environments. MQ11. What is the role of the male gamete in sexual reproduction? Option A, provides energy. Option B, combines with female gamete. Option C, produces food. Option D, initiates pollination. The correct answer is option B, combines with female gamete. Explanation. The male gamete combines with the female gamete during fertilization to form a zygote. This combination introduces genetic variation, ensuring diversity in the offspring and the continuation of the species. MCQ 12. How is the problem of increasing DNA content during sexual reproduction solved? Option A, DNA deletion. Option B, energy conservation. Option C, reduction division in germ cells. Option D, mutation generation. The correct answer is option C, reduction division in germ cells. Explanation. Reduction division, or meiosis, in germ cells ensures that the DNA content is halved. During fertilization, the chromosome number is restored, preventing it from doubling in every generation. MC13. What is the significance of pollination in flowering plants? Option A, forms seeds directly. Option B, transfers pollen to stigma. Option C, promotes vegetative propagation. Option D, prevents fertilization. The correct answer is option B, transfers pollen to stigma. Explanation. Pollination is essential for transferring pollen grains from the stamen to the stigma. This enables fertilization, where the male gamete in the pollen grain fuses with the female gamete in the ovule. MCQ 14. What happens to the ovary after fertilization in a flowering plant? Option A, it dries up. Option B, it forms seeds. Option C, it becomes a fruit. Option D, it produces more pollen. The correct answer is option C, it becomes a fruit. Explanation. After fertilization, the ovary grows and ripens to form a fruit. The ovules inside the ovary develop into seeds, ensuring the protection and propagation of the plant species. MC15. What is the function of the placenta in humans? Option A, produces hormones. Option B, nourishes the embryo. Option C, removes waste. Option D, facilitates menstruation. The correct answer is option B, nourishes the embryo. Explanation. The placenta facilitates the transfer of oxygen and nutrients from the mother's blood to the embryo. It also removes waste products from the embryo, ensuring proper development during pregnancy. MC16. Why does menstruation occur in females? Option A, hormonal changes. Option B, fertilization failure. Option C, lack of nutrients. Option D, uterus malfunction. The correct answer is option B, fertilization failure. Explanation. Menstruation occurs when the released egg is not fertilized. The uterine lining, prepared to nourish an embryo, is shed as blood and tissue, marking the end of the menstrual cycle. What is the role of the testes in the male reproductive system? Option A, produces urine. Option B, forms sperms. Option C, secretes digestive enzymes. Option D, produces ovum. The correct answer is option B, forms sperms. Explanation. The testes are the primary male reproductive organs responsible for producing sperms. They also secrete the hormone testosterone, which regulates sperm production and secondary sexual characteristics. MC18. What is the function of seminal vesicles and the prostate gland in males? Option A, store sperms. Option B, add fluid to sperm. Option C, remove waste. Option D, block the vas deferens. The correct answer is option B, add fluid to sperm. Explanation. The seminal vesicles and prostate gland add fluid to sperms. This fluid nourishes the sperms and facilitates their transport, improving their mobility for successful fertilization. MC19. Why are condoms effective in preventing sexually transmitted diseases, STDs? Option A. They kill bacteria. Option B. Block sperm entry. Option C. Act as a barrier. Option D. Enhance fertilization. The correct answer is option C. Act as a barrier. Explanation. Condoms act as a physical barrier, preventing the exchange of bodily fluids. This significantly reduces the risk of sexually transmitted diseases, including HIV/AIDS, gonorrhea, and syphilis. What is the importance of contraceptive methods? Option A. Control population growth. Option B. Maintain reproductive health. Option C. Prevent unwanted pregnancies. Option D. All of the above. The correct answer is option D. All of the above. Explanation. Contraceptive methods help control population growth, prevent unintended pregnancies, and promote reproductive health. They also aid in family planning and reduce the risks associated with repeated pregnancies. 21. How does binary fission differ from multiple fission? Option A involves budding. Option B creates two daughter cells. Option C produces multiple daughter cells. Option D only occurs in plants. The correct answer is option C, produces multiple daughter cells. Explanation. Binary fission results in two identical daughter cells, while multiple fission produces many daughter cells simultaneously. Organisms like Plasmodium reproduce using multiple fission. What is the main advantage of spore formation in reproduction? Option A requires asexual reproduction. Option B ensures survival in harsh conditions. Option C increases genetic variation. Option D prevents germination. The correct answer is option B, ensures survival in harsh conditions. Explanation. Spore formation helps organisms like Rhizopus survive unfavorable conditions. The thick walls of spores protect them, and they germinate when favorable conditions return. MCQ 23. Why do multicellular organisms not reproduce through regeneration like planaria? Option A. Lack specialized cells. Have complex body structures. Option C. Depend on spore formation. Option D. Use binary fission. The correct answer is option B. Have complex body structures. Multicellular organisms have specialized tissues and complex body structures, making regeneration an impractical method of reproduction. They rely on more organized reproductive strategies. How does vegetative propagation benefit agriculture? Option A. Increases seed production. Option B. Ensures plant uniformity. Option C. Enhances soil fertility. Option D. Reduces water usage. The correct answer is option B. Ensures plant uniformity. Explanation. Vegetative propagation produces plants genetically identical to the parent, preserving desirable traits. It is widely used in agriculture for faster and uniform crop production. MC 25. What is the role of pollen in sexual reproduction in flowering plants? Option A. Nourishes the ovary. Option B. Transfers male gamete. Option C. Prevents self-pollination. Option D. Forms the seed. The correct answer is option B. Transfers male gamete. Explanation. Pollen contains the male gametes necessary for fertilization. It is transferred to the stigma by agents like wind, water, or animals to enable sexual reproduction. MC 26. What happens to the unfertilized egg in the female reproductive system? Option A. It is stored. Option B. It degenerates. Option C. It develops into an embryo. Option D. It fuses with another egg. The correct answer is option B. It degenerates. Explanation. If the egg is not fertilized, it degenerates and is shed along with the thickened uterine lining during menstruation. This marks the end of the menstrual cycle. MC 27. What are the male gametes in human reproduction called? Option A. Eggs. Option B. Sperms. Option C, zygotes. Ova. The correct answer is option B, sperms. Explanation: male gametes in humans are called sperms. Produced in the testes, they carry genetic material that combines with the female gamete during fertilization to form a zygote. Point 28. What is the purpose of meiosis in sexual reproduction? Option A, double the DNA content. Option B, create genetically identical cells. Option C, reduce chromosome number. Option D, remove variations. The correct answer is option C, reduce chromosome number. Explanation: meiosis reduces the chromosome number by half in germ cells. This ensures that the zygote formed during fertilization has the correct number of chromosomes for the species. Why do humans develop secondary sexual characteristics during puberty? Option A, to attract mates. Option B, to prepare for reproduction. Option C, to increase body size. Option D, to prevent diseases. The correct answer is option B, to prepare for reproduction. Explanation: secondary sexual characteristics, such as voice deepening in boys and breast development in girls, indicate sexual maturity. These changes prepare the body for reproduction. What is the function of the fallopian tube in the female reproductive system? Option A, produces eggs. Option B, transports eggs to the uterus. Option C, nourishes the embryo. Option D, prevents fertilization. The correct answer is option B, transports eggs to the uterus. Explanation: the fallopian tube transports eggs from the ovaries to the uterus. Fertilization usually occurs in the fallopian tube, where the sperm meets the egg to form a zygote. M31. What is the role of the zygote in reproduction? Option A, produces energy. Option B, forms the embryo. Option C, transports nutrients. Option D, protects the gametes. The correct answer is option B, forms the embryo. Explanation: the zygote is the initial cell formed after the fusion of male and female gametes. It undergoes multiple divisions to form an embryo, which further develops into a complete organism. Which part of the human male reproductive system produces sperms? Option A, urethra. Option B, testes. Option C, vas deferens. Option D, prostate gland. Option B, testes. Explanation: the testes produce sperms and secrete the hormone testosterone, which regulates sperm production and secondary sexual characteristics in males. MCQ 33. What facilitates the transfer of glucose and oxygen from the mother to the embryo? Option A, uterus. Option B, placenta, oviduct. Option D, villi. The correct answer is option B, placenta. Explanation: the placenta is a specialized structure that connects the mother and the embryo. It allows the transfer of nutrients, oxygen, and waste products between the two through villi and maternal blood spaces. Why do organisms create new individuals that resemble themselves? Option A, DNA copying ensures similarity. Option B, all organisms are identical. Option C, to reduce reproduction cost. Option D, to maintain energy levels. The correct answer is option A, DNA copying ensures similarity. Explanation: DNA copying ensures that genetic information is passed to offspring, resulting in similar body designs. This is crucial for the continuity and stability of a species. And 35. How does binary fission occur in amoeba? Option A, involves budding. Option B, occurs along a fixed plane. Option C, occurs in any plane. Option D, results in multiple cells. The correct answer is option C, occurs in any plane. Explanation: binary fission in amoeba occurs in any plane, dividing the organism into two identical daughter cells. This simple process is a common method of asexual reproduction in unicellular organisms. MC36. What is the primary advantage of tissue culture in plants? Option A, reduces seed dependency. Option B, produces disease-free plants. Option C, slows down growth. Option D, increases genetic variation. The correct answer is option B, produces disease-free plants. Explanation: tissue culture allows the growth of plants in sterile, disease-free conditions by cultivating cells in artificial media. It is commonly used for ornamental and agricultural crops. MCQ 37, what happens after pollination in flowering plants? Option A, pollen produces fruit. Option B, ovule forms the embryo. Option C, ovary develops into a flower. Option D, pollen develops into seeds. The correct answer is option B, ovule forms the embryo. Explanation: after pollination, the male gamete in the pollen grain fuses with the female gamete in the ovule. This process results in the formation of a zygote, which later develops into an embryo. MCQ 38, what marks the onset of puberty in humans? Option A, growth in height. Option B, reproductive maturity. Option C, increase in body weight. Option D, development of immunity. The correct answer is option B, reproductive maturity. Explanation: puberty marks the beginning of sexual maturity, during which reproductive organs mature and secondary sexual characteristics like voice changes and body hair growth appear in boys and girls. Why do contraceptive pills prevent pregnancy? Option A, block sperm entry. Option B, alter uterine lining. Option C, change hormonal balance. Option D, prevent ovulation. The correct answer is option D, prevent ovulation. Explanation: contraceptive pills prevent pregnancy by altering hormonal balances, which inhibit ovulation. Without ovulation, no egg is available for fertilization, preventing pregnancy. 40. What is the importance of seed formation in plants? Option A, protects the embryo. Option B, aids in pollination. Option C, reduces reproduction cost. Option D, prevents genetic variation. The correct answer is option A, protects the embryo. Explanation: seeds protect the developing embryo during adverse conditions. They also aid in dispersal and ensure the continuity of the plant species through germination under favorable conditions. EMS 41, why is variation critical for the survival of species? Option A, prevents mutations. Option B, helps adapt to changes. Option C, ensures energy efficiency. Option D, promotes identical offspring. The correct answer is option B, helps adapt to changes. Explanation: variation allows some individuals in a species to survive environmental changes, such as climate shifts. This adaptability increases the chances of survival for the species over time. MCQ 42, which organism reproduces using multiple fission? Option A, amoeba. Option B, plasmodium. Option C, hydra. Option D, yeast. The correct answer is option B, plasmodium. Explanation: plasmodium, the malarial parasite, reproduces through multiple fission. In this process, a single organism divides into many daughter cells simultaneously, allowing rapid reproduction. 43. What role do regenerative cells play in hydra's reproduction? Option A, help in tissue repair. Option B, create new individuals. Option C, aid in binary fission. Option D, assist in spore formation. The correct answer is option B, create new individuals. Explanation: hydra uses regenerative cells to reproduce through budding. These cells undergo repeated division to form a bud, which grows into a new individual and detaches from the parent. MCQ 44, what are the male and female reproductive organs in flowering plants called? Option A, sepals and ovules. Option B, stamens and pistils. Option C, pollen and stigma. Option D, petals and ovary. The correct answer is option B, stamens and pistils. Explanation: the male reproductive organ in flowers is the stamen, which produces pollen grains, while the female reproductive organ is the pistil, which contains the ovary and ovules. MCQ 45. What happens when pollen from one flower is transferred to another flower's stigma? Option A. Cross-pollination occurs. Option B. Self-pollination occurs. Option C. Fertilization takes place. Option D. Seed formation begins. The correct answer is option A. Cross-pollination occurs. Explanation. Cross-pollination occurs when pollen from one flower is transferred to the stigma of another flower. This process is facilitated by agents like wind, water, or animals. MCQ 46. Why is the scrotum located outside the body in males? Option A. For energy conservation, to regulate sperm production. Option C. To prevent infections. Option D. For hormonal balance. The correct answer is option B. To regulate sperm production. Explanation. The scrotum is located outside the body to maintain a temperature lower than body temperature. This is essential for the production of healthy sperms in the testes. MCQ 47. What is the significance of the uterine lining during pregnancy? Option A. Nourishes the embryo. Option B. Protects the zygote. Option C. Aids in fertilization. Option D. Prevents embryo movement. The correct answer is option A. Nourishes the embryo. Explanation. The uterine lining thickens and is richly supplied with blood to nourish the developing embryo. This lining plays a crucial role in supporting the growth of the embryo until the placenta forms. MC 48. What prevents the fertilization of an egg when using a copper T? Option A. Kills the egg. Option B. Blocks sperm entry. Option C. Alters the uterus environment. Option D. Prevents menstruation. The correct answer is option C. Alters the uterus environment. Explanation. The copper T alters the uterine environment, making it unsuitable for sperm and egg survival. This prevents fertilization and implantation, serving as an effective contraceptive method. How does the embryo receive nutrients and oxygen during pregnancy? Option A. Through the uterus. Option B. Via the placenta. Option C. Directly from the mother's blood. Option D. Through the fallopian tube. The correct answer is option B, via the placenta. Explanation. The placenta connects the embryo to the mother's blood supply, facilitating the transfer of oxygen and nutrients to the embryo. It also removes waste products, ensuring healthy development. MC 50. Why is self-pollination advantageous in flowering plants? Option A. Reduces genetic diversity. Option B. Requires fewer agents. Option C. Prevents seed production. Option D. Promotes rapid growth. The correct answer is option B. Requires fewer agents. Explanation. Self-pollination does not depend on external agents like wind or animals for pollen transfer. This ensures a higher probability of fertilization, especially when cross-pollination is less likely. AMD 51. What is asexual reproduction? Option A. Requires two parents. Option B. Involves gamete fusion. Option C. Produces genetically identical offspring. Option D. Requires pollination. The correct answer is option C. Produces genetically identical offspring. Explanation. Asexual reproduction involves a single parent and produces offspring that are genetically identical to the parent. This includes methods like binary fission, budding, and spore formation. MC52. How is budding in yeast different from binary fission? Option A. Involves equal division. Option B. Produces only one offspring. Option C. Forms a small outgrowth. Option D. Does not require energy. The correct answer is option C. Forms a small outgrowth. Explanation. In yeast, budding involves the formation of a small outgrowth, bud, that eventually detaches to become an independent organism. Binary fission, on the other hand, involves equal division of the parent cell. MC 53. Which part of the female reproductive system is responsible for egg production? Option A. Uterus. Option B. Ovaries. Option C. Fallopian tubes. Option D. Cervix. The correct answer is option B, ovaries. Explanation. The ovaries are the primary reproductive organs in females, responsible for producing eggs, ova, and secreting hormones like estrogen and progesterone. M54. What ensures the stability of populations in species over time? Option A, DNA variation. Option B, high mutation rates. Option C, reproduction. Option D, migration. The correct answer is option C, reproduction. Explanation. Reproduction ensures the continuation and stability of populations by creating new individuals. Variations introduced during reproduction help species adapt to environmental changes. C55. What is the role of hormones during puberty? Option A, control basic metabolism. Option B, initiate sexual maturation. Option C, increase energy production. Option D, prevent genetic variation. The correct answer is option B, initiate sexual maturation. Explanation. Hormones like testosterone in males and estrogen in females trigger sexual maturation during puberty, leading to the development of secondary sexual characteristics and reproductive capabilities. MC56. Why do complex organisms require specialized reproductive organs? Option A, reduce energy use. Option B, ensure reproductive efficiency. Option C, aid in vegetative growth. Option D, eliminate genetic variation. The correct answer is option B, ensure reproductive efficiency. Explanation. Specialized reproductive organs ensure the efficient transfer of gametes, provide protection to developing embryos, and allow complex organisms to reproduce successfully. MC57. What happens to the embryo after fertilization in humans? Option A, develops into a zygote. Option B, travels to the cervix. Option C, implants in the uterine lining. Option D, breaks down. The correct answer is option C, implants in the uterine lining. Explanation. After fertilization, the zygote develops into an embryo and implants in the thickened uterine lining. The uterine lining provides nutrients and support for the embryo's development. M58. What is the primary role of the stigma in a flower? Option A, produces pollen. Option captures pollen grains. Option C, nourishes the ovary. Option D, aids in fertilization. The correct answer is option B, captures pollen grains. Explanation. The stigma is the sticky part of the pistil that captures pollen grains during pollination. This ensures that the male gametes can reach the ovules for fertilization. M59. How does regeneration differ from reproduction? Option A, produces new individuals. Option B, occurs only in plants. Option C, regrows lost parts. Option D, involves sexual reproduction. The correct answer is option C, regrows lost parts. Explanation. Regeneration is the ability of an organism to regrow lost body parts, as seen in planaria. While some forms of regeneration can produce new individuals, most are limited to tissue repair. 60. What happens to the unfertilized ovum in the female body? Option A, it forms a zygote. Option B, it remains in the uterus. Option C, it disintegrates and is expelled. Option D, it develops into a fetus. The correct answer is option C, it disintegrates and is expelled. Explanation. If the ovum is not fertilized, it disintegrates and is expelled along with the uterine lining during menstruation. This is part of the monthly menstrual cycle in females. What ensures genetic diversity in sexual reproduction? Option A, mutation. Option B, random DNA copying. Option C, fusion of male and female gametes. Option D, asexual reproduction. The correct answer is option C, fusion of male and female gametes. Explanation. In sexual reproduction, the fusion of male and female gametes combines genetic material from two parents. This process creates variations that enhance adaptability and survival in changing environments. MCQ 62. Why do simple organisms like Spirodra reproduce through fragmentation? Option A, to conserve energy. Option B, due to simple body structure. Option C, to increase genetic variation. Option D, to adapt to harsh conditions. The correct answer is option B, due to simple body structure. Explanation: Spirogyra reproduces through fragmentation because of its simple body structure. Each fragment grows into a new individual, allowing rapid reproduction without specialized tissues or organs. MCQ 63. What role does the ovule play in flowering plants? Option A, produces pollen. Option B, protects the stigma. Option C, contains the female gamete. Option D, supports the sepals. The correct answer is option C, contains the female gamete. Explanation: The ovule contains the female gamete in flowering plants. After fertilization, it develops into a seed, protecting the embryo and aiding in the propagation of the plant. MQ 64. What makes sexual reproduction slower compared to asexual reproduction? Option A, energy requirement. Option B, dependence on two parents. Option C, low genetic variation. Option D, high mutation rate. The correct answer is option B, dependence on two parents. Explanation: Sexual reproduction is slower because it requires the involvement of two parents for gamete formation and fusion. While slower, it ensures genetic variation and long-term evolutionary benefits. M65. Why is DNA copying not 100% accurate during reproduction? Option A, prevents errors. Option B, allows mutations. Option C, reduces genetic variation. Option D, ensures survival. The correct answer is option B, allows mutations. Explanation: DNA copying is not completely accurate, allowing mutations and variations. These variations are crucial for evolution and help species adapt to environmental changes. MC66. How does the embryo obtain oxygen and nutrients from the mother? Option A, through diffusion. Option B, via blood vessels in the placenta. Option C, through the uterine wall. Option D, by direct contact. The correct answer is option B, via blood vessels in the placenta. Explanation: The placenta facilitates the transfer of oxygen and nutrients from the mother's blood to the embryo through its blood vessels. It also removes waste products from the embryo. MQ 67. Which method of reproduction ensures faster population growth in bacteria? Option A, budding. Option B, multiple fission, spore formation. Option D, binary fission. The correct answer is option D, binary fission. Explanation: Binary fission is a rapid method of reproduction in bacteria. A single bacterial cell divides into two identical daughter cells, enabling quick population growth in favorable conditions. Patsit. What happens during fertilization in humans? Option A, egg divides into two. Option B, zygote is formed. Option C, sperm disintegrates. Option D, ovary releases hormones. The correct answer is option B, zygote is formed. Explanation: During fertilization, the sperm fuses with the egg to form a zygote. This zygote is the first cell of a new organism and carries genetic material from both parents, ensuring variation. M669. What is the role of sepals in flowers? Option A, aid in pollination. Option B, protect the flower bud. Option C, contain the ovules. Option D, produce pollen grains. The correct answer is option B, protect the flower bud. Explanation: Sepals are the green, leaf-like structures that protect the flower bud before it opens. They provide support and protection to the developing reproductive parts of the flower. MCQ 70. Why is meiosis important in sexual reproduction? Option A, reduces chromosome number. Option B, prevents fertilization errors. Option C, promotes asexual reproduction. Option D, ensures identical offspring. The correct answer is option A, reduces chromosome number. Explanation: Meiosis reduces the chromosome number by half in gametes, ensuring that the zygote formed during fertilization has the correct chromosome count. This prevents errors in chromosome number across generations. MCQ 71. What is the purpose of the pollen tube in flowering plants? Option A, transfer ovules. Option B, transport male gametes. Option C, nourish the stigma. Option D, prevent self-pollination. The correct answer is option B, transport male gametes. Explanation: the pollen tube grows from the pollen grain and transports the male gametes from the stigma to the ovule in the ovary. This ensures fertilization and the formation of a zygote. 72. What is the primary advantage of spore formation in organisms like rhizopus? Option A, requires external fertilization. Option B, ensures survival in adverse conditions. Option C, increases reproduction rate. Option D, promotes sexual reproduction. The correct answer is option B, ensures survival in adverse conditions. Explanation: spore formation enables organisms like rhizopus to survive unfavorable conditions. Spores are encased in thick protective walls, allowing them to germinate when conditions improve. MCQ 73. How does the sperm move towards the egg in humans? Option A, through muscular contractions. Option B, using its tail flagellum. Option C, by diffusion. Option D, pushed by the uterus. The correct answer is option B, using its tail flagellum. Explanation: sperm cells have a tail-like structure called the flagellum, which propels them forward, allowing them to swim towards the egg in the fallopian tube for fertilization. Why is variation limited in asexual reproduction? Option A, DNA replication is exact. Option B, no fertilization occurs. Option C, limited number of offspring. Option D, dependent on external factors. The correct answer is option A, DNA replication is exact. Explanation: asexual reproduction involves exact DNA replication, producing genetically identical offspring. This limits variation, making it harder for the species to adapt to environmental changes. 5. Which plant propagates through buds on its leaf margins? Option A, bryophyllum. Option B, sugarcane. Option C, jasmine, rose. The correct answer is option A, bryophyllum. Explanation: bryophyllum reproduces through vegetative propagation. Small buds on the leaf margins fall to the ground, where they grow into new plants under favorable conditions. MCQ 76. What happens during self-pollination in flowering plants? Option A, pollen is transferred to another plant. Option B, pollen falls on the same stigma. Option C, stigma grows a new flower. Option D, ovary produces more pollen. The correct answer is option B, pollen falls on the same stigma. Explanation: in self-pollination, the pollen from the stamen of a flower falls onto the stigma of the same flower. This ensures reproduction even without external pollinating agents. Why are testes located outside the abdominal cavity in humans? Option A, to maintain lower temperature. Option B, for hormonal secretion. Option C, to aid sperm transport. Option D, to protect reproductive organs. The correct answer is option A, to maintain lower temperature. Explanation: testes are located in the scrotum outside the abdominal cavity to maintain a temperature lower than body temperature, which is essential for the production of viable sperms. MCQ 78. What is the function of seminal fluid in male reproduction? Option A, carries genetic material. Option B, provides nutrition to sperms. Option C, stimulates testosterone production, prevents sperm movement. The correct answer is option B, provides nutrition to sperms. Explanation: seminal fluid, secreted by glands like the prostate and seminal vesicles, nourishes the sperms and facilitates their mobility, ensuring successful transportation during reproduction. MCQ 79. How does the uterine lining prepare for the fertilized egg each month? Option A, thickens and becomes spongy. Option B, releases eggs. Option C, secretes hormones. Option D, produces a zygote. The correct answer is option A, thickens and becomes spongy. Explanation. Each month, the uterine lining thickens and becomes spongy, preparing to nourish a fertilized egg. If fertilization does not occur, the lining is shed during menstruation. M80. Why is vegetative propagation beneficial for plants like rose and jasmine? Option A, promotes genetic variation. Option B, allows seedless reproduction. Option C, prevents plant diseases. Option D, reduces water requirements. The correct answer is option B, allows seedless reproduction. Explanation. Vegetative propagation allows plants like rose and jasmine, which may not produce seeds, to reproduce. It ensures identical plants and faster flowering compared to seed-based propagation. MCQ 81. What is the role of the fallopian tube in human reproduction? Option A, produces the egg. Option B, site of fertilization. Option C, nourishes the zygote. Option D, removes waste from the uterus. The correct answer is option B, site of fertilization. Explanation. The fallopian tube is where fertilization occurs in human reproduction. The sperm meets the egg in the fallopian tube, and the resulting zygote travels to the uterus for implantation. MCQ 82. What ensures that the chromosome number remains constant across generations in sexual reproduction? Option A, binary fission mutation. Option C, meiosis. Option D, DNA copying. The correct answer is option C, meiosis. Explanation. Meiosis is a specialized cell division process that reduces the chromosome number by half in gametes. This ensures that the chromosome number is restored during fertilization in the offspring. MCQ 83. Which organism reproduces using budding as a method of asexual reproduction? Option A, amoeba. Option B, option C, plasmodium. Option D, leishmania. The correct answer is option B, hydra. Explanation. Hydra reproduces through budding, where a new organism grows as an outgrowth on the parent body and eventually detaches to become an independent individual. MCQ 84. Why do sexually reproducing organisms generate more variations than asexually reproducing ones? Option A, DNA replication is exact. Option B, two parents contribute DNA. Option C, they reproduce faster. Option D, less energy is used. The correct answer is option B, two parents contribute DNA. Explanation. In sexual reproduction, genetic material from two parents is combined, leading to greater genetic variation. This enhances adaptability and survival in changing environments. What happens to the zygote after fertilization in flowering plants? Option A, forms pollen, develops into a seed. Option C, becomes the ovary. Option D, converts into nectar. The correct answer is option B, develops into a seed. Explanation. After fertilization, the zygote in flowering plants develops into a seed. The ovules form the seed, and the ovary transforms into a fruit, protecting and propagating the plant. MC 86. Which structure protects the embryo in plants during unfavorable conditions? Option A, ovary. Option B, stigma. Option C, seed. Option D, sepals. The correct answer is option C, seed. Explanation. The seed protects the embryo in plants during adverse conditions. It has a tough outer coat that safeguards the embryo and provides nutrients during germination under favorable conditions. MCQ 87. What prevents the fertilized egg from being expelled from the uterus in humans? Option A, hormonal support, placental attachment. Option C, thickened uterine lining. Option D, muscle contractions. The correct answer is option C, thickened uterine lining. Explanation. The thickened uterine lining provides a supportive environment for the fertilized egg, zygote, to implant and grow into an embryo. It prevents the embryo from being expelled prematurely. Why do bacteria reproduce faster in favorable conditions? Option A, use budding. Option B, use binary fission. Option C, require low nutrients. Option D, do not require energy. The correct answer is option B, use binary fission. Explanation: bacteria reproduce rapidly through binary fission, a process where a single bacterial cell divides into two identical daughter cells. This allows them to multiply quickly in favorable environments. MCQ 89, what is the primary role of testosterone in males? Option A, stimulates sperm production. Option B, controls body temperature. Option C, inhibits hormone secretion. Option D, promotes egg release. The correct answer is option A, stimulates sperm production. Explanation: testosterone is the primary male sex hormone responsible for sperm production and the development of secondary sexual characteristics, such as deeper voice and facial hair during puberty. MCQ 90, what happens if pollen fails to land on the stigma of a flower? Option A, fertilization occurs. Option B, seed formation stops. Option C, ovary converts into fruit. Option D, pollination is unnecessary. The correct answer is option B, seed formation stops. Explanation: if pollen fails to land on the stigma, fertilization does not occur and seed formation halts. Pollination is a crucial step that facilitates the transfer of male gametes to the female reproductive organs. MCQ 91, why is cross-pollination advantageous over self-pollination? Option A, increases seed production. Option B, introduces genetic variation. Option C, reduces pollination time. Option D, requires fewer agents. The correct answer is option B, introduces genetic variation. Explanation: cross-pollination introduces genetic variation by combining gametes from different plants. This enhances adaptability and resilience in changing environmental conditions. MC 92, how does the embryo in humans receive nourishment from the mother? Option A, through diffusion. Option B, by direct contact. Option C, via the placenta. Option D, through uterine contractions. The correct answer is option C, via the placenta. Explanation: the placenta facilitates the transfer of nutrients and oxygen from the mother's blood to the embryo. It also removes waste products from the embryo, ensuring proper development during pregnancy. MCQ 93, what makes spore formation effective for survival? Option A, requires external fertilization. Option B, provides genetic variation. Option C, protects against harsh conditions. Option D, ensures larger size. The correct answer is option C, protects against harsh conditions. Explanation: spores are encased in thick protective walls that allow them to survive unfavorable conditions. When conditions improve, spores germinate and develop into new organisms. MCQ 94, which part of the flower develops into the fruit after fertilization? Option A, sepals. Ovule. Option C, ovary. Option D, stigma. The correct answer is option C, ovary. Explanation: after fertilization, the ovary of the flower grows and ripens to form a fruit. The ovules inside the ovary develop into seeds, protecting the embryo and aiding in plant propagation. MCQ 95. Why is menstruation an essential part of the female reproductive cycle? Option A, cleanses the reproductive system. Option B, prepares the uterus for pregnancy, prevents ovulation. Option D, reduces hormonal activity. The correct answer is option B, prepares the uterus for pregnancy. Explanation: menstruation occurs when the egg is not fertilized and the uterine lining prepared to nourish an embryo is shed. It is an essential part of the reproductive cycle for maintaining fertility. In 96, what is the function of the prostate gland in the male reproductive system? Option A, stores sperms. Option produces seminal fluid. Option C, secretes testosterone. Option D, filters blood. The correct answer is option B, produces seminal fluid. Explanation: the prostate gland produces seminal fluid, which provides nutrients to the sperms and enhances their mobility. This fluid plays a critical role in successful fertilization during reproduction. 97. How do specialized reproductive tissues benefit multicellular organisms? Option A. Reduce energy use. Option B. Ensure reproductive efficiency. Option C. Aid in vegetative growth. Option D. Eliminate genetic variation. The correct answer is option B. Ensure reproductive efficiency. Explanation. Specialized reproductive tissues ensure the efficient transfer of gametes, provide protection to developing embryos, and allow organisms to adapt to complex reproductive strategies in multicellular bodies. TQ98. What is the main advantage of vegetative propagation in plants? Option A. Promotes genetic variation. Option B. Allows rapid multiplication. Option C. Prevents disease spread. Option D. Increases water absorption. The correct answer is option B, allows rapid multiplication. Explanation. Vegetative propagation allows plants to multiply rapidly without the need for seeds. This method is widely used in agriculture for plants like rose, jasmine, and sugarcane. 99. Why do organisms with complex body designs not reproduce through fission? Option A. Lack sufficient energy. Option B. Require specialized tissues. Option C. Produce genetically identical offspring. Option D. Depend on external factors. The correct answer is option B, require specialized tissues. Explanation. Organisms with complex body designs have specialized tissues and organs that require more organized methods of reproduction, such as sexual reproduction, instead of simple fission. MCQ 100. How does a zygote develop into a multicellular organism? Option A. By binary fission. Option B. Through repeated cell division. Option C. By regeneration. Option D. Through budding. The correct answer is option B, through repeated cell division. Explanation. A zygote undergoes repeated cell division to form an embryo. This process involves cell differentiation, which eventually leads to the development of specialized tissues and organs in the organism. That's a wrap for this chapter's MCQs on ExHub MCQs channel. We've explored key concepts of reproduction, from asexual and sexual reproduction to pollination, fertilization, and human reproductive systems. Understanding these topics is crucial for exams and builds a strong foundation in biology. If you found this session helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to ExHub MCQs channel for more expert-curated MCQs and explanations. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new upload. Keep practicing, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next chapter. Happy studying!